everyone, I'm Kate Berkner here with Dr. Tom Phelan, and today we're going to talk about a few topics that we touched on when the coronavirus pandemic first began affecting us here in the US. And obviously the situation has evolved since then, so we wanted to talk about some of these topics in a new light. One of the things that we talked about when this first started was how to manage scary information. And at that point, there was a lot of scary news about what was going on in European countries and death counts rising and the virus coming to the US. And you had shared a few key metrics for people to think about and ways to find those metrics. Given the way that things have evolved since then and where we're at now, what information and what advice would you give parents today as far as all the information that's out there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say what you want to do is you want to look for certain information. Because if you want to be active rather than passive, if you're passive and a receiver of the information that the media and the, TVs and the internet's going to give you, it's going to be more negative than positive because that's the way they operate. They tend to emphasize things. So you're going to hear total deaths. You're going to hear total coronavirus cases and that kind of thing. And total deaths is always going to go up. Total cases is always going to go up. So those things are not going to be particularly reassuring. But as you said, we're into it now for a while. We know more about it. And what we know is that there are countries and states that can control it. They don't eliminate it, but they can control it. And the metric that I like the best, I go to a thing called Worldometer, Worldometer, if you want, and I look at daily new cases. I think the bottom line is daily new cases, not daily deaths or anything like that, because daily new cases is our future, and it's describing to us how well we are controlling this. And if you look at the whole profile in the whole world of daily new cases, you can look at countries on Worldometer, you can look at states, you see amazing variability, and you see who's doing what they're supposed to be doing and who isn't. So you see Brazil, no, they're not doing so good. What about Italy? They were a laughing stock before. Very good now. They are controlling, they're doing their face masks, they're doing their tracing, they're doing their other things. Germany coming along good, UK coming along good. In the United States, Illinois doing well. New York, after a horrible start, doing well. Who's not doing well? About 4 states, Arizona, Florida, Texas, and California, account for half of our daily new cases. So that's important to know, because in those states, they're struggling to do the face masks, the social distancing, and so on. So the information is scary in a sense, because you can see that curve going up, although the last few days, these 4 states seem like they've been doing something different. So it's scary, you can see that. But if you watch it, and I watch it every single day for the last however many months, you get a feel for who's taking the bull by the horns and who's handling it well and who's not. And the most important thing for you is your state, and it's right there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is as a parent who lives in Illinois, when my kids have concerns about coronavirus and about everything that's going on, it's helpful for me just to be informed about what's happening here so that I can talk to them about how this applies to their lives, right?
Yep. Yeah. And if you're, if they're old enough, you can put it up on the computer and you can see the graph, and they can learn something about graphs, and they can learn what's looking good, what's looking bad. And you also see the trends. So it's been last week or so, the trends have been more disturbing, and that's what it is, But I think you're going to see with this information, I think you're going to see some of these states shaping up, because certain states and certain countries know how to handle it as best we can pre-vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that'll be 6, 12, 18 months out, so a good thing for us to be learning. One thing that definitely continues to be important as all of this is going on is checking in with your kids and seeing how they're doing. What's the best way for parents to go about that right now?
If your kids are old enough, I like the phrase "the plague." I just refer to it as the plague. So you can ask your kids, "How are you doing with the plague?" And then stop and listen. Don't preach or even teach, but listen to what they're doing, what they're thinking about. The other thing and the other thing I was going to say was, how are you doing with the plague? Ask yourself how you're doing with the plague, because that's going to come across in your manner, and if you're really upset. And the other thing is, if you sit around and read the news all day about this, you're going to get upset. So, what I like to do is I like to go check Worldometer, see how the daily new cases is doing, and maybe glance at a few other things, make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with the face mask and social distancing and all that. And then I don't read the rest of the stories, because I guarantee if I sit there and read for a half hour, I'm not going to feel very good. And if you do that, you're not going to feel very good, and you're going to be harder to live with for your family.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to talk about parents' mental health in just a minute. But before we get to that, in terms of how kids are feeling and what they're experiencing, one of the things that I've seen a lot of headlines popping up about lately is speculation over how schools are going to handle the fall. So it seems like some schools may go back part-time, some schools may go back full-time, in some places masks may be required. What should parents keep in mind, regardless of what their school is going to be doing, when they have that conversation with their kids?
Yeah, I think as a parent, you have to accept just a good deal of uncertainty, because you don't know. Some schools may do what they call a hybrid system, where some of the kids are going to alternate going to class and then alternate doing it online and things like that. But I think what you want to do with your kids is just discuss those possibilities. Ask them, what do you think? This is an 8-year-old. What do you think is going to happen with your school? And have them explain that to you, and listen to that. There's not so much you can tell them, because you don't know what's going to happen. And that's not the end of the world. But I think that's the way it's going to be. And the other thing is, as you were saying about, how do we handle it and so on. I think we may still be wearing masks in the fall. We may still be wearing masks for a year. We don't know yet. But you can discuss that with them and ask them, sympathetic questions, insightful questions, and then see what they have to say and accept it.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I've seen going around was maybe a post from a teacher who essentially said, look, if your kids are going to have to wear masks in the fall going back, regardless of what you personally think about that, please talk to them about it in a positive way, because it's going to be hard no matter what, right? The beginning of the school year is not going to look normal, quote unquote, in most places. Right. So that's going to be enough of an adjustment, and kids don't need parents coming at it from a place of, kind of fear and negativity. Like, please help the teachers by starting from a place of positivity.
Exactly. And I think it's a good point, because what you want your kids to do, if they're getting the message they're going to have to wear masks, you can say to them, I understand you're going to have to wear masks in the fall. How do you feel about that? Instead of saying, you're going to have to wear a mask in the fall. Now you make sure you take it with you and blah, blah, blah. They don't need that. Kids will cooperate. They don't need your command to cooperate with the school. Usually kids are usually very good about that.
Got it. Terrific. So, one of the ways that we can help our kids stay kind of calm and happy and centered is by doing that ourselves as parents, right? So with a lot of people having to balance work and either lack of or limited childcare, uncertainty around the school situation in the fall, what should parents be doing for their own mental health right now?
I think the two biggest things, or maybe three biggest things, one is you need some social contact. So you can Zoom your friends, talk to your friends or whatever, but you need to maintain those. And a lot of people say that the phone is okay, and it is helpful, but Zoom has the advantage or other things of seeing a face, a friendly face for 15 minutes. You need that therapy. Second thing is you need exercise. And you should be, hopefully you have a favorite form of exercise. It could be walking, it could be whatever. And if it involves getting out of the house, you can do that. That's so much the better. Get away from family at least 2 hours a day, if you can possibly do it. That's very, very, very critical. So exercise. And then the other thing is relaxation. What's your favorite way to relax? Pick it, and hopefully it's a healthy one. If you say, vodka martini at 5 o'clock, well, that's one option, but not sure that's the best option. But pick away. Do you like yoga? Do you like progressive relaxation? What do you like to do? But pick one and do it, and that'll make you a lot more palatable for your family, for you to for them to be living with you, and so on. So it's like your socialization, your exercise, and your relaxation. Worst comes to worst, and people say, I can't get out of the house, I got 2 little kids and all that. You do what I call phone walking, and that means every time you get on the phone, you pick up the phone, you start walking. And you'd be amazed if you walk. People spend 3 to 5 hours average, I think, on their phones during the day. And so imagine if you walked all that time, you'd be in pretty good shape. You tell me you got 2 preschoolers, that's fine. You can supervise 2 preschoolers phone walking because you're walking all around the house. You're seeing them all the time, and they'll get a kind of a kick out of it. But,
I'm imagining myself like on the phone with my 2 little ones trailing behind me, kind of
yeah,
like ducklings in a row.
that's the way it might turn out.
For sure. Yeah, I know my next door neighbor, her going for a run like acts as her exercise and her quiet time because she's got 4, elementary and younger kids. So that's a good way for her to get out, get some exercise, get some quiet.
Yeah.
So
You need no demand time when there are no demands on you.
yeah, and I think a lot of parents, especially really young kids, try to find that after kids' bedtime. But also if you have another parent or another adult in the house who can keep an eye on the kids while you go out for a walk or a run or to grab an ice cream or whatever.
Sure.
And older siblings as well is something that we've talked about in the past is, if you have children who are older, they can kind of help to supervise the younger ones. Even if you don't leave the house, you could at least kind of say, okay, I'm going upstairs, and for the next 30 minutes, this is, we call it mommy timeout at my house. So say, mommy's going to mommy timeout. You can't bother her for 30 minutes, but it's we've had to get creative, right, with the ways that we find no demand time. And I think also being intentional about the relaxing time, right? Not just opening up the phone app and scrolling Facebook headlines that could be scary and depressing, but actually saying, I am going to relax now, and here is how I'm going to do it.
Right. And you need to pick your best method.
Yep, absolutely. Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Phelan. If you know someone who needs to hear this right now, please tag them in the comments or share this video. You can also sign up for our newsletter for more parenting tips and resources at 123magic.com. Thanks so much.